To be Wiccan is a way of life. And it's time we learned how. Join the Scarlet Witch on a journey into magic and learn the true meaning of witchcraft as we enter the Witch's Closet with Scarlet Witch.
Hello everybody. Hi. First I just want to apologise obviously that I wasn't on a couple of weeks ago. I was poorly, still poorly, but hopefully getting better. I had that horrible virus that I think everybody had a few weeks ago or was having, and then it went to my chest, and it's been horrible. But I'm on antibiotics now, so hopefully I'm on the mend now. So we shall see. So good evening to all. Always start with the disclaimer because it's me. Everything that obviously I say isn't the views of all Wiccans or witches. This is just my personal views and the things that I have learned, the things that I have read in my own research over the years. So yes, if it's not something that you personally believe in or agree in, just be respectful. And if you see somebody else's comments in the post that you might not agree with, again, just please be respectful to everybody. Everyone has different beliefs and views, and that's absolutely fine. That's what makes the world lovely. So yes, let's have a look. So Wandering Willow, great suntan. I know, I don't know if you can see the sunglasses marks on here, but hopefully it's not. Nico, hi. Dave, hi. Wondering will I love your top? Hi, of course. Excuse me. Jeanette, I hope you're feeling better now. You could sorry, I will be doing that. It's still very much in my chest. I'm hoping to feel better soon because at the minute I just feel zapped of my energy today, especially. Jessica, good evening, and good evening, Lorraine, as well. So let's get straight into it.
Got a good group on tonight.
We have got a good group on. Yeah, so what I plan to do tonight is we're going to be talking about the old witches' remedies, the old remedies, the old ways, and the herbs, and some of the interesting facts about them. And also, if you've got time, depending on how I feel, a quick Q&A. So if anybody wants to ask anything about witchcraft or witches or what have you, we'll do that towards the end as well. But yeah, so first of all, I'm going to go into the history about the wise women in the woods and who they were, how they became or came to be known as witches, a bit of the history on them. And yeah, so we'll go into that. Right, so we all know herbs make great companions in the garden and in the kitchen. But herbs have a long history as a natural remedy, going way back. Medicine developed in different ways all over the world. For much of history, far away from big towns and cities, there was no easy way for people to access doctors or pharmacies like we have today. So people would visit the local wise woman of the town or of the village to treat their illnesses, their injuries. And the wise woman would create her remedies from things she could find in the local landscape, be it plants, animals, water, minerals like salt, for example. Traditionally, the treatment of illnesses and injuries were not seen as a profession. In rural parts of England, like the Fenlands, for example, treatments were a part of the ancient culture. So So cures and remedies were passed down from mother to daughter, and they were shared between certain women in the community. And you'll hear a lot what I say this evening. It will be the word women, or like I said, mother and daughter. That's not to be sexist. I've nothing against the men. However, back then, the men were the ones who worked the land. They were the one who went to work or had a job and provided the income, whereas the women were the homemakers. They did everything around the home. So they were the ones that did all the illnesses, the remedies, all the home concoctions. We have a high from the dogs. They're protecting the land. Oh, bless them. So yes, so it was generally the women who would do that sort of work. So for a long time, the human body was not understood scientifically. So many wise women turned to magic charms and spells. In the Renaissance, the 14th to the 17th century, Europe, people began to explore medicine in science. But only men were allowed to study science in universities, and they began studying then to become doctors later on. When universities... Hi, Ben, how are you?
Hi.
You snuck in there. I didn't see you slide in there.
I have a random fact for you.
Oh, no.
Oh, I love a random fact. Go for it.
Come on. You were saying medical studies were done in the 15th century in the Western world, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you know that in the Middle East, medical and science was practiced from 10,000 BC to about 15 BC in Baghdad?
In where? Baghdad?
Baghdad, yep.
Wow. So they were more advanced back then than what we hadn't come over to us yet. Goodness, I love random fun facts like that. Thank you for sharing that, Ben.
We digressed with our study of science and technology.
Yeah.
And progressed up until the point where they had the final crusades.
Yeah.
And Islam took over. At that point, they digressed in their arts, science, and technological studies, and the West progressed with their advances when it hit the Renaissance age.
Wow. So we kind of took their already they were advanced, and we kind of hopped onto that bandwagon, really, didn't we? I suppose.
Yep. Sorry, just randomness.
Wow. We like the random facts. Fascinating. Okay, so when universities began to use the word doctor, it was the first time healers were known by the same title, but being a doctor became a paid job. But again, it was only available to men. But the wise woman who lived in the woods or wherever in the little villages didn't stop her from healing work, because it was still important to the community, especially in the rural areas. However, as medicine became more scientific and less spiritual, it became exclusive to men and the upper class. So she still had a need. There was still a need for her knowledge of the land, of the herbs, of the uses, the concoctions she would make. Not all of them probably were beneficial. I think during the plague times or that sort of era, there was a theory of rubbing, I think it was cow's urine on a man's bald head to encourage hair growth. I personally don't recommend that. I don't think there's much scientific looks into that. So, but if that's your thing, carry on. Women were therefore restricted, as they were for a long, long time. They could not get licenses to practice medicine, and women's work as healers didn't fit in with the new regulations. So those who continued this practice risked being punished for not following the rules. These women were called witches and were hunted and killed for their traditional practices. So the fact that people would go to them for years and years and years for their cures, their injuries, their illnesses, and then suddenly, because there was a new way and there was like the medicine way, that was then seen as what she's doing is witchcraft, what she's doing is wrong. And then it was punishable by death when the witchcraft law was advanced by the lovely King James I. So then it was a horrific time for them. They were trying to do good to help others, and unfortunately they paid the price, quite a lot of them. But today we have a good understanding of the human body, but we should always remember the women that were so influential in this, even though they couldn't officially study medicine until 1874 when they were allowed to. And it was the London School of Medicine for Women became the first place for women to be trained as doctors. And like I said, that wasn't until 1874 that they were allowed that. So up until that point, they were having to do it in secret. But these wise women in the woods were some of the first to be targeted, as I said, by King James I under his rule, when he quite literally started a witch hunt in the UK. There is quite a few books, actually. If you are interested in reading about it, I am going to name a couple of books, just two of them, that are fascinating to read. And it is The Ways They Caught a Witch, what they thought a witch would be. It was like the rule guide or the rule book of what a witch looks like, what they do, and how they would hunt a witch, and how they would prosecute and execute as well. There's two very interesting books. So if anyone is interested, Ben might actually know these two books, actually. In fact, no, he probably does know these two books, to be honest. You can still get copies of them. The first one is called Demonology, but it's spelled slightly differently. And it was written in 1597. And it was explaining James I, obviously what he wrote, his approval and support of the practice of witch hunting.
Is that the one where you've got the two demons talking between them? The
conversation? Yeah, that's the one. It is a fascinating book, but it's also infuriating at the same time to read. Especially if you are a witch, you read them back and you think some of the things that they said that were proclaimed to be as witches was ridiculous, you know. It does state on the book, so if you are going to look at Amazon for it, if you want to read it or what have you, it does state, I think, underneath the word the demonology, it's spelled G-I-E at the end of it, not with a Y. It does say James I and James VI, but don't be confused by that. It is still the same person. However, he was known as James I in England and James VI in Scotland, because they'd had previous James kings, royalties in Scotland, so he couldn't be named as James I. And just by magic, there we go.
Oh yeah.
So it is a fascinating book to read. So if anybody can, you know, get hold of it. If you don't want to read it, that's absolutely fine.
This one's only 75 pages. It says it on the back.
So it literally says only 75 pages. The second book, I don't know if you've got this one, Lou, who knows? A very famous book, actually, about identifying the witches, and it's the Malleus Malefic. Yeah, there we go. All I'd say was the first word, and you will see it in a second beside you. It was first published in 1486, and it was a guidebook for inquisitors during the Inquisition, and was designed to help them in the identification, the prosecution, and dispatching of witches. There we have that one as well. That one is that one is a fascinating book to read. That one.
Hard to get into with the use of language and everything.
Yeah, it is very much. But I believe, I could be wrong, it was actually originally written in Latin, if I remember, and it got translated to English.
Yeah, it was written. Yeah, it was written. I can't remember which one.
But it's set that. Say again.
Was it German? I don't know. I know that one of it's talks about German. Yeah. The Catholic clergyman Heinrich Kramer.
That's it. Heinrich Kramer and James Sprenger, I think it was, or Spregner, however you pronounce his name. But it set forth, as well as many of the modern misconceptions and fears concerning witchcraft and witches. Again, fascinating read, but as someone who practices the craft and identifies as a witch, it is saddening and infuriating at the same time. But it was, Heinrich Kramer and James Sprenger originally wrote the book. But anyway, those are two books if you wanted to read them about how they hunted witches and what have you. It's a fascinating book. back to the wise woman in the woods and the herbs they used. But they weren't the only ones to use herbs in their practices. So you'll hear a little fun fact, actually, I'll throw this in. The Romans paid for their taxes with anise, star anise. That's how they paid their taxes. And it was also used in cough drops. But the anise seed steeped in milk is said to be a sleep-inducing drink. So it's great for insomnia. So if you've got star anise, if you get the seeds and steep them in milk, or put it in a pan with just boil it up with the seeds and then drink the milk a couple of glasses before bed, and it's supposed to help you get to sleep and stay asleep. And stay asleep. Yeah. Not that. No, not that sort. No. No. Just until morning. Just until morning.
We wake up all refreshed.
I've got to be so careful with my words. I really do. Right, but we move. Okay, so the next one. Basil. Precious to lovers in Italy and considered sacred in India. It's a sacred herb in India. Many years ago, Italian men wore a sprig of basil to indicate their intended marriage. That's a little fun fact there. So it's all over the world. You'll start to see a pattern all over the world. They would use herbs in different ways. Here, a cup of basil tea after dinner aids digestion, can ease a headache by drinking tomato juice blended with fresh basil. So if you have a headache, get some fresh tomato juice, whip it in your blender with fresh basil leaves, and it's supposed to cure a headache.
I got a question.
Go for it.
You know how you can buy soup, tomato and basil?
Basil soup?
Just have it cold.
It probably does, as long as they use like fresh basil herb in it. Then I would imagine it probably does exactly the same thing. It doesn't have to be cold. You can have it hot.
Try it next year.
But it's something to do with the basil itself has some sort of property that when released relaxes the muscles in the brain. And obviously if you get tension, headaches and what have you, or with vodka, is that a Bloody Mary, I think it's called, or something like that. See, I love tomato juice with Worcestershire sauce, or Liam Perrins, whatever you call it, but I absolutely love that. Okay, next one. Borage, or borage, whatever you want to pronounce it as. Now, the Romans believed the herb to be an antidepressant, and the ancient Celtic warriors took it for courage. They would have it again like a tea, or they would eat the leaves directly off the plant, and it was set to give them or release the anxiety of the fear before they went into battle. So again, both of them, although it was the Romans and the ancient Celtics, they both believed it had some sort of help with the mind, whether it was depression or anxiety or fear. They would take it to release those. Caraway. Caraway was used to scent perfumes and soaps, but the Greeks used it for upset stomachs. Caraway seeds, I think, are still very easily accessible, or available supermarkets. Chives, most people have these growing in their garden. They believed bunches of chives hung in the home were used to drive away diseases and evil spirits. That's what they believed. That was more of a British or UK tradition, going way, way, way back. It was bunches of chives. If you see in all the films, or the witchy films, they've normally got bunches of lavender and stuff hanging up, but not just that, it was also chives as well they used to have hanging up. Dill, not just useful for pickles. Dill, the Romans made wreaths and garlands out of dill because dill kept witches away, which is ironic because I absolutely love dill and I'm a witch, so it clearly doesn't work. So that one, we'll just disregard that one. Right, rosemary. Rosemary, a lot of people associate with witches. They would place rosemary in their hair as they believed it would improve memory, and it will protect you from evil spirits if you put a sprig under your pillow. Now, if anybody is a fan of TikTok here, you will know that recently on TikTok there is a big trend going around at the minute of rosemary oil to stimulate hair growth. It does make hair thicker. It does encourage growth. If you are a bald man, for example, it's not going to make hair miraculously grow. You're not going to wake up with, a full bunch of hair in the morning. It doesn't work like that. But what it is very good for is memory, the headaches, the stress. So massaging it into your scalp. So even now in 2023, it's made a comeback. But it has to be put with a carrier oil. It can't be used straight. The one on TikTok, I think it's called Nature's Spell, which again, Nature's Spell, that's the company name. And they do all sorts using herbs for different ailments. So now I'm going to give you some old time home remedies that you can try, but have been proven to work. Okay. So, researchers have produced hundreds of studies in the past 10 years about the effectiveness of home remedies, but not all the old-time solutions help. But the ones I'm going to tell you, the ones I'm going to list, do have scientific evidence to back them up. However, even natural cures can interact with medications. So if you do take regular medication or have a chronic health condition, this is an important disclaimer, please check with your doctor before trying. If I mention anything that you're allergic to, please don't take it if you have a very sensitive allergy to it. Just because I've said it will cure one thing, we don't want anybody in hospital, with a swollen airways because they've, hey. So let's crack on to this one. Right. Buttermilk for age spots. And this is scientifically proven, apparently. Ben, have you heard about buttermilk for the age spots?
Only a bit.
Only a bit. Okay, so skip the expensive creams or the anti-age wrinkle creams. This is what you need, as long as you're not allergic to buttermilk, okay? Buttermilk, a rich byproduct of butter, contains lactic acid, which a lot of these expensive creams have, but it also has ascorbic acid. And a study showed that this combination lightened age spots more effectively than lactic acid on its own. So you apply it to age spots with a cotton ball and then just rinse after 20 minutes. And you keep doing this, and after 30 days, the age spots have been proven to get lighter. That's the word I'm looking for. There's Ben with his transitions.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm busy doing a slate, but I'm trying to just get out of doing it as well. So I'm just phasing in
Just
there.
sit here.
Right, comfrey for back pain. So this medicinal plant has been for centuries to treat joint and muscle pain, but a study of 215 patients in, I think it was Cambridge University, found that applying concentrated comfrey cream to the area reduced muscle pain. You can actually buy it in. As the up approval, right? You can buy it in most health food stores, or you can get it online. The next one, oatmeal for bug bites. Now, Dr. Adam Friedman, he was an associate professor in dermatology, found proof that oatmeal is fantastic as an anti-itch remedy. So it's great for bites, for hives, for chicken pox, and putting oatmeal in a Hessian bag. Now, I did this. I caught chicken pox. This is an interesting fact. About 4 or 5 years ago. Now, I was born in Egypt. Now, over in Egypt, you are given a chicken pox vaccination as a child. Because of the heat over there, you get quite a lot of complications if you catch it when you're young. So when I was about 6 months old, I was given a chickenpox vaccination. My mum didn't speak much Arabic at the time. So when they went to the doctor, and it was an Egyptian doctor who didn't speak much English, the only way they could tell her what vaccination they were giving me was by going, this is chicken, like this. That was it. So she found out that I had a chickenpox vaccination, and it stayed in my system for years and years and years, until 5 years ago I did contract chickenpox, and I used it's oatmeal, any oats, put them in a Hessian bag or any like bag with holes in, hang it on your hot tap, turn your tap on, let it just run through as it's filling up, and then it's like an oaty milky kind of colour, and you sit in and it genuinely takes the itch away, and the spots were gone in way less than a week. It was fantastic. But yes, the other way you can do it is mix oatmeal with water, equal parts, to like a paste, and then apply it to the area. So if it's for eczema or if it's for hives or anything like that, leave it on for 10 minutes and then just rinse it off, and it draws out the itch. And that was a proven thing by one of the dermatologists in one of the universities, I can't remember. Right. Then this one, I like this one, okay? Aspirin for calluses and corns. So you crush, please don't do this if you're allergic to aspirin. Crush 5 or 6 uncoated, it has to be uncoated, aspirin into a powder. Mix the powder thoroughly with 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice and 1/2 teaspoon of water. Dab the paste onto any like thickened skin. Lay a piece of like wrap, like this day and age we'll use like plastic wrap, like cling film or something. Is Ben okay there?
So I went on to thick skin, so I'll leave you guys in peace.
So wrap it in some like plastic wrap. This day and age, that's what we would use. Back then it would be like Hessian or something like that. But we found plastic wrap works better. Cover the wrap with a heated towel. Remove everything after 10 minutes and gently scrub away the loosened skin with a pumice stone or what have you. And it comes away so much easier. It's something in the aspirin that breaks down the toughened skin, but it doesn't harm any of the good cells in your skin. So it's a really, really good one. But again, if you are allergic, please do not use that one. This next one is what I should use, to be honest. Thyme tea for coughs. Thyme is a natural expectorant that relaxes the respiratory tract. I've actually got thyme growing in the garden. Why am I not doing this? Right. It loosens the mucus, and studies have found that using thyme in combination with primrose or ivy relieves the frequency and duration of coughs. Now, to make a thyme tea, you place 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme or 1 tablespoon of dried thyme in a cup of hot water, allow it to steep, then drain out the herb and then just add honey to taste. And it loosens all the mucus and it lessens the duration of your cough, shall we say. Now, I will go and try that after, and the next time I do the show, I will let you know if it genuinely works. But apparently, studies have been found on this one that it does work, so yeah. I'm going to do that. So,
do you want to have a break?
The next one.
Through comments?
Hey?
Do you want to have a break while we go through comments?
Yes, of course. Let's have a look. Let's go for it. Right.
We've got quite a lot because we've got.
Oh, we have got quite a few, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should we go from?
We'll go for that one right there.
Yeah.
I would like to know if it's possible to use herbs to combine them with properties of fruits, for example, to make tasty and healthy fruit juices.
Absolutely, 100%. As long as you aren't allergic to any of the herbs or you're on certain medications. I think it's St. John's wort, you can't take on certain medications. I believe, is it one of the antidepressant medications? I think you can't take that with. So herbs,
be careful with St. John's wort, I think.
Yeah. You can use the herbs by all means, but just make sure you've checked the contraindications of any of the herbs with any of your medications, or any illnesses that you have.
Okay, it says, how far back do midwives go?
Way back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
way back.
people were giving birth really, but they just wouldn't have necessarily had that name, but there would have been
From the beginning of time, completely. Yeah.
knowledge. What else we got? That's just where Emma gifted me the King James book. It's fascinating if you're into history too, because King James indirectly portrayed the culture of the time. I love it.
Yeah, it is a very interesting book.
Kate says, I'm always fascinated by Chinese medicine and how advanced they were for their time. Again, yeah. Oh, Nico, I have a theory that King James was inspired by the book wrote by Plato, The Republic, I think, since it's also wrote like a dialogue between two people.
Two people, yeah, very possibly.
And that was when you were about putting to sleep.
No, not permanently. Permanently, no.
Have a pizza again. That was the tomato and basil. Yeah. What's this? Is the same sort of stuff that Native American used before battle that was said to make hallucinate. Oh, that sounds
That
right.
was, yeah, I think that's what I was talking about, the borage or borage. I can never pronounce that one.
Yeah. In Germany, they're very much still into homeopathy medicine. They have a tea for everything. Even my daughter, as a baby, drank fennel tea for colic and chamomile for sleep, and still does. Oh.
Yeah, chamomile is fantastic for sleep.
All right, wondering, Willow, you can use buttermilk with oats for a face mask.
You can.
Okay, it says, I swear by stinging nettle tea to help urinary complaints or muscle aches.
Yes, there is one actually. While you've got that one on there, the urinary, like UTIs. A lot of women and men do suffer with UTIs. Now there is a theory that cranberry juice helps prevent or cure UTIs, but it actually doesn't. It can make it a lot worse. Cranberry juice is very high in acidity, and it can actually irritate the lining more of the urethra. So yeah, stinging nettle tea is a good one to preventative and to help as well.
They sure love their teas over in Europe.
Oh, we do. We do love a nice tea.
Here in Latin America, most people drink coffee. We don't have this culture with herbs and teas.
Definitely get into it, Nico. It's good.
Is there certain coffee beans that do anything special? That's interesting.
That is a good one, yeah.
I don't know, but it's an interesting question, Kate. All I know is that Colombian coffee.
Colombian coffee is nice.
I think the difference is how you treat and cook the coffee bean. While Bill's on.
Hi, Wild Bill.
Sage tea works for sore throat.
I suffer a lot with sore throats. There is a concoction that I use that I swear by, and it's fantastic and it's very soothing. And it's boiled water, as hot as you can stand it, half a teaspoon of turmeric, because turmeric needs heat to activate. So whenever you take like the turmeric pills, they're not as effective if they've been heated first. Because obviously your body temperature is a certain temperature, but if it's with hot water, as hot as you can stand it, it activates the turmeric better. So I use turmeric, cloves, I start with ginger, turmeric, cloves, ginger, a little bit of honey, and cumin. That is something that my father did when I was very, very young. And it genuinely is fantastic for a sore throat. And I gargle with it as well. So just before I swallow it, if I've got a raging sore throat, gargle it so the turmeric and all the cloves and the ginger, whatever, you can get into your, release all the toxins, and then either spit it out or swallow it, what have you. But it's really, really good for a sore throat.
St. John's wort lowers your blood pressure.
So you need to be careful if you've got low blood pressure or you're on blood pressure tablets.
Well, Bill, I still use medicines taught to me by my Cherokee grandmother.
Wow. The old ways are the best ways. I really do think that.
I know a bit about the Native American herb use. Love Mother Nature.
I love Mother Nature too.
Yeah, okay, it says cranberry juice was a killer for me, makes it worse 100%.
Yeah, it does.
Tips. And it says I wanted to learn about herbs, so this is super helpful. Excellent. Then we're
Good.
off now.
Okay, so we've only got a couple more of the herbs that I wanted to go through with you, and then if anybody has any questions with anything to do with witchy related or Wicca or what have you, just fire them away. Okay. So the next one, lavender oil. Lavender oil for foot odor is fantastic. I don't know if it works because I don't have a foot odor issue, shall we say? But if anybody does, try it and let me know. But apparently it's proven to work. As I said, all of the ones that I've listed have had scientific studies that have proven to be effective in some way or form. So apparently these do work. So lavender not only smells good, but what is good for the lavender oil is that it has antibacterial properties. A lot of foot odour does come from bacterial fungal infections. So it helps kill the germs. So before bed, rub a few drops of lavender oil onto your feet, just a couple of drops. Massage in, pop on a pair of socks just to protect your bed sheets because obviously it's an oil. And in the morning when you wake up, you won't have any issues with smelly feet, apparently.
He says there's no way I'm going to touch his feet. No, you can touch your own feet.
I absolutely hate feet. I don't like feet at all. But yes, if anybody tries that on the next show, do let me know. Peppermint oil for headaches. Peppermint obviously cools the skin and it numbs the pain of a tension headache. Now, it needs to be mixed with a carrier oil. So you can mix it with olive oil or any carrier oil that you want to use or you've got. So mix a few drops with carrier oil to prevent skin irritation and then gently massage on your temples and across your forehead. And that relieves tension headaches. I think there's a balm you can get, it's called Forehead, that you rub onto your head and it's supposed to, that's all that is pretty much in a fancy bottle. It's like $4.99, range from $4.99 to $7.99. I've seen it in different pharmacies, but you could make that version yourself so much cheaper. You could do it in get one of the rollable bottles, just an empty one from Amazon, make your own, pop it in your bag and carry it with you, just to roll on your temples and across your forehead, and that helps headaches.
I've got
another one.
This is my little headache balm. Not made
by
me.
Oh, not made by you.
I bought it. Yeah, this is with peppermint and rosemary essential oil. And if I look on the ingredients on the back, so I got to turn it towards the light because it's a bit dark here. It looks like the carrier oil is sweet almond oil.
Yeah.
And then with some pure beeswax, obviously to make it solid. Honey, then peppermint essential oil and rosemary essential oil.
Both of which are good for, fantastic. So you could make it into a little salve like that for at home. You could do that with some beeswax.
Just the heat from your finger that kind of melts it, and then put it on your head, and it just kind of all melts.
So you could make it like that. If you're vegan, obviously don't use beeswax. You could use some other wax in its place that you would use. That moves nicely onto olive oil for chapped lips. When you've got chapped lips, if you coat your lips with olive oil, which is a natural lubricant, it helps soften and moisturize your lips. A lot of people in the Middle East, I know from obviously in Egypt, obviously Egypt being quite a poor country, they don't have the funds to be buying all the fancy stuff and lip balms and what have you, so they make their own. And a lot of it is made the base of olive oil. And they start using it before about their autumn winter time and apply it, and it prevents chapped lips and stuff in the cooler months. Cooler months over there are not like the cooler months here. I had a family member who came over when I was about 9 or 10, and I remember it was our summer and she was absolutely freezing over here. She was walking around in like a roll-necked top and shivering with a coat, and it was like, you know, 19 degrees. So yeah, that was cool for them. But yes, lemon juice for, I'm trying to think off my top of my head now as well, some extra ones. Lemon juice, believe it or not. Now, I did say, obviously, with acidity, with UTIs, kidney stones obviously are different to a UTI. But lemon juice dissolves kidney stones, and that is a scientific fact, that one. Yes, I think it was, you have to take this, I'll have to double check with the dosage, but I'm sure it's so many teaspoons, and it helps to break down the kidney stones because they're made of something specific. I can't remember the name of what some kidney stones are made of different things. Some are more salt based, some are, there is one of them that helps break down that particular kidney stone, but I'd need to have a look into that and get back to you on that one. The other one, blackberry tea for diarrhea or upset stomach. Now, blackberries are rich in tannins, and it's a substance that can tighten mucous membranes in the intestinal tract. They've long been used for diarrhea. Now, you make blackberry tea by boiling 1 or 2 tablespoons of fresh or frozen blackberries or dried blackberry leaves, because the leaves are just as good, just as beneficial, in 1.5 cups of water for 10 minutes. Then you strain, drink several cups for the day, until everything is settled down. But you can also buy blackberry tea, but just make sure it's not just flavouring, make sure it does actually contain the leaf or the actual fruit itself. But yeah, that's those are a few of the old remedies from all out across the different parts of the globe. Clearly I'm from different planets. Okay, let's see if
are there any like books that you'd recommend people to look at if they're interested in like more about herbal things, like
what's his name?
Or like witchcraft and everything?
There is. He's got a funny name. His name is actually mentioned in quite a few witch series and films. Oh, Mr. I'm gonna have to hold on. Bear with me. I will get you his name. He's got a funny name. He was the oldest herbalist, and he wrote a book all about the uses of herbs. Let me just find it. Hold on. Bear with me. It's like it's like, you've ever seen the series Mr. Pimple Popper? His name sounds like that.
Is that Culpepper?
Culpepper. There we go. I said it was like Mr. Pimple Popper. Whatever it is. Culpepper. His book is fantastic it's quite a thick book of all the herbs and their uses, the medicinal forms, how much to take, how to apply them, how to take them. Is a good one.
Right.
Culpepper.
So we're back to comments. Jess put one up. Strange question. Saffron said to be more expensive than gold. Is this due to medical property? If so, what? I think it's just because it's about how it's grown, because I think you can only get 3 strands of saffron from one plant, can't you?
Yes. Saffron, obviously, I think it comes from somewhere in one of the countries in the Middle East. It's grown. It is very, very expensive. A lot of countries in the Middle East will use that to trade with as well. So rather than money, because it is more valuable than money to them, they will use that to trade. I remember hearing a story when I was in Egypt. I was young. I don't know how accurate or true this is. Somebody bought their property with saffron rather than money, because they grew saffron themselves, but they didn't have much financial abundance. Here comes Ben. Ben will be the one to answer this one. But yeah, in Egypt, that was a story that was passed down where they bought their property.
Ben knows the person whose family it was that did that.
He knows them? No.
He says, yeah.
No, does he really?
There's a story about, this guy that Ben knows who's out in Egypt.
So
go on then.
Mine,
yeah.
Called Skunky.
Yeah.
I'll explain the name sometime on live when I get a chance. But he hangs around. His family is the old Egyptian caravanners
Yeah,
that still do the run from Morocco to Egypt
yeah,
to Istanbul.
yeah,
Now they do still do the spice runs. It's old traditions
Yeah.
that are kept alive.
yeah, yeah.
Now it was one of his family members, I think it was either a granddad or an uncle, that
Yeah.
trades in saffron,
Yeah.
and he was the one that brought this place in.
Property.
I think it was Cairo. I think it was like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
west part of Cairo where he brought this sort of not a house, but like a manor in a sense.
Yeah.
Not just a house, a
Yeah.
manor.
Yeah.
It was purely done with saffron.
That's it. Yeah. I remember being told that when I was young. But to have, somebody who actually knows the person who did it, wow, that's fascinating. Fascinating.
That's another random fact.
Well, Bill and people wonder why everyone was happy after the peace pipe.
Peace pipe.
You'll have to make your own cool coffee beans, Nico. Herbal coffee. Have you heard you can get coffee made of cat poo?
I have heard. Is there bat one as well? Isn't there bat poo as well or something like that? Made out of coffee beans and it's bat
There
poo.
is a very famous coffee brand, I'm not going to say because I don't want to put everyone off it, but yeah, that they feed the thing is either a bat or some sort of animal where they feed the coffee beans to them, they poop them out, then use.
I'm sure it's bats, yeah.
They come in big long tubes.
Yeah. I won't scary news that. Just go crocuses in your garden and collect the saffron. It's a different kind of saffron to the one that's grown in the Middle East, but you could still use it just the same.
I wonder what it would taste like, but I don't know if I want to find out.
What was that in relation
Can't
to?
remember that one. Can't remember.
You have to remind me, Nico.
Might have been when we were talking about one of the bombs or something. Nick says, I'm a juice fan, so I'll have to try and make some and mix them with herbs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Have a look. I might have a kitchen witch book somewhere that might actually have something in it. I don't know. I'll have a little look. If I find
The book, is it the Witch's Bible? One of my books, I'm trying to remember which one it was. One of my books, there's a whole section on magical properties, the herbs and their uses. I will try and find it and I'll put a post up later on.
Let us know if there's a special, Nico. I'll give you the recipe. What we got? Apple cider vinegar for prevention / breakdown of gallstones. Good if you are diet or high fatty calcium diets.
Very good. Apple cider vinegar is actually good for quite a lot of stuff.
Good for loads of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's safe for dogs as well.
Yeah, I give it to my cat. Suffers with urinary tract infections quite a lot. He has a problem with his bladder, and when he was very young, he was constantly going to the vets for antibiotics. And it was the vet himself who even said if you put half a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in his food, it prevents it and also helps cure it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Loads of uses on that one. Oh.
Very good stuff.
Lungwort helps with mucus and coughs.
It does. You find the name in the herb will be what it's good for. I think it's like what's it called? Devil's. Yeah, like lungwort with the lungs.
And they used to go for like how it looked as well as to how that would like.
That's right. The devil. I think it's called the devil's claw. It's a root, and it literally looks like that, and it's very good for people with arthritis. And if you think people who have arthritis, they're very stiff, and it actually looks. Yeah, there's a lot of makes sense, the meaning behind it.
I have an encyclopedia of medicinal herbs and plants. It's a bit technical though. Sounds great. Ben's shouting through from the other room that garlic's good to stop bites. Well, I could have done with some of that on Saturday.
Garlic has fantastic properties for lovely things.
So that would be great. Right, we're caught up again.
We've caught up. But yeah, there's another one as well, and it's with buttercups. and it's meadow buttercups, not the ones you find in your garden are called bulbous buttercups, I think.
Yeah.
But meadow buttercups, if you take the heads off them, if you go foraging or what have you, so boil them up, and then mix, like create sugar. I think it's quite a lot of sugar. Again, I'll have to get the recipe for that to figure it out. And you create like a honey out of it, but it's completely vegan because obviously there's no animal byproduct in it. And you take like a tablespoon a day, and it lowers blood pressure. It's fantastic for arthritis, for circulation, helps with the digestive system. Absolutely fantastic properties. So not just good to tell if you like butter or not, also has great properties in that sense as well.
So another thing I recommend is, because obviously you might not be too sure about plants or what they do. It's good to have something on the opposite end of the scale. Deadly well, that's his wicked plants, but it's about plants that can kill, maim, intoxicate, and otherwise offend. So it tells you all about them, about which part of the plants is bad, what the side effects actually are, and then it's got some points of like, antidotes.
Yeah, because that is actually a very good point. There are certain parts of some plants that are toxic, so it is always good to research what part of the plants to use. Yeah. Sometimes it's just the root, sometimes it's the leaves, sometimes it's the flower, sometimes you can use all of it. So always do your research. There is I think it's in London, or just on the outskirts of London, there is a garden centre thing. You can't go and buy the plants, but it's all the deadly plants. You have to sign a disclaimer to go in because you can't touch anything. You have to be tour guided around. But it's all the plants that could kill, basically. It's in a walled garden. It's fascinating to go to if anybody gets the chance to go to it.
Just to make you all aware, for my own safety, Lou brought this book after we got married.
Oh dear.
Oh wow. Oh my god, I'm gonna take my puppy's bed and you've got them there.
Hi doggy. Or doggies.
Yeah, both in there. But yeah, it's good because it's got like some drawings as well in it. So yeah, it's good to know the good side and also the bad side.
Definitely. Is that why vampires don't like garlic? Because it stops the bites. Wandering Willow says, good book, Lou. Jess has put, there is a root, I can't remember the name of it. I believe it's illegal in the UK, but I believe it's used a lot in Eastern medicines. I think it's left in oil. I can't remember. Do you know what it's called? Oh, God, I can't remember the name. Ben, do you know?
Come here. You're good with some Eastern stuff, aren't you?
Yoo-hoo.
He's gone to
Big summer blowout.
Okay, Jess is asking, there's a root, she can't remember the name of it, but believe it's illegal in the UK, but believe it's used a lot in Eastern medicines. I think it's left in oil, I can't remember.
Dragon root.
Dragon root.
Dragon root, there you go. That was quicker than me looking it up.
Cause third degree burns. There's quite a few roots that are like that. You catch so much acid out of them.
Yeah.
Like,
you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Farming fields with horses. What?
Ragwort.
Ragwort that burns you when you shut it. Yeah, same thing.
A bit like that. I see.
Like that.
It's funny how some things are illegal in some countries and legal in the others. Like I know in Egypt, tramadol, the medication that's very popular here, it's a controlled drug, I believe, is up to a death sentence in Egypt if you are caught carrying it into the country. Tramadol. There was a case, I think it was 2 years ago, a lady took some over for her Egyptian husband, not because he had severe back pain, not realizing it was illegal. I think she's still in prison to this day, awaiting execution. There was a massive trial going on. They're trying to get her brought back to the UK. But yes, never, ever, 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 ever take tramadol to Egypt if you're going to Egypt. But always check, because certain countries have different legalities. And what you'd be surprised is legal here may not be there. And I know Middle Eastern countries, there's quite restrictions.
What makes me laugh is, you know how obviously potatoes,
Yeah.
The potato itself is fine to eat, but the flower, totally poisonous because it's
Toxic.
like part of the nightshade family. But this
Yeah.
I saw it on the post on Facebook, one of the like gardening sites that I'm on.
Yeah.
They've like crossbred potatoes with tomatoes and then the tomato on top. Now, who thought of that? Because you'd have to do that really carefully because you don't want the poisonous bit from
No.
the potato plant to go into the tomato. That's just really weird. And then you get
Wow.
some unsuspecting people come along, think, oh look, my potatoes got
Must.
tomatoes, when they're not actually tomatoes, they're still part of like the deadly side of it. I was
Oh
like, who thought
gosh.
of that?
Oh, so it grows as a separate plant but attached, so to speak.
No. It's kind of spliced together some weird way.
So it's a half potato, half tomato.
The plants, I don't know what they've done. They've done some sort of weird genetic thing with it, so it'll grow potatoes
Wow. Yeah.
and tomatoes.
Wow.
But if you've
They've got to be so careful with that.
if you've got a normal potato plant and it happens to like grow the flowers turn into a fruit, you're gonna be like, it's not the same, it's not safe, that's poison.
No.
I think
Yeah.
that's just a really bad idea.
I think when they start to mix and start to mess with nature a little bit, that's when things start to go wrong a wee bit. I think they need to be very careful when they start messing with nature.
Yeah.
Do forgive me if I've pronounced your name wrong. I struggle with English, and English is my native language, let alone trying to pronounce people's names. Cara, don't think crossbreed. It's literally binding a tomato stem like a parasite grafting onto the potato plant.
I don't know. I've seen it is actual like proper crossbreed.
Oh gosh. I do think they have to be careful when they start messing with nature. That's when things start to go wrong.
Yeah.
Mother Nature's like, oh, don't like that. But yes. So if nobody has any more questions, I won't go into that.
That's just how you throw them.
I was going to say, if you launch them at their head hard enough, my aim, I wouldn't be able to aim for their head at all. But somebody with a good aim would be able to knock somebody out with a potato. Potato. But yeah, so if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to take my antibiotics, but I'm also going to go and make some thyme tea and see if that can. I will let you know how it works. If you don't hear from me in a couple of weeks, it's not worked. So don't try it. But yes, so everybody who has joined, thank you for watching. Thank you to everybody who's commented and interacted with us. We appreciate it. What's the upcoming shows, Lou?
Right, I don't know the plan yet for Friday because me and Ben are back up at Haunted Museum Stoke-on-Trent, so I'm guessing we're going to be doing our show from up there again before we go and do our talk. Hopefully Damon's feeling better by then too, because he's not been feeling too good.
He's been poorly as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Hope you feel better soon, Damon.
And then Sunday, all being well, they'll be back with Ben's show. We shall see. Hopefully.
We shall see.
Hopefully, yeah, because it's been busy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Ben's gone upstairs, so I can't shout to him to say like, yeah, on Sunday, are you doing what you planned? So I won't drop him into like saying like, yes, you're doing it this and you're doing it on this and what.
That's fine. Right. But yeah, so you've got a great lineup coming up for the rest of the week. So make sure to tune in. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and then I think in 2 weeks. So I'll be doing. Will I be doing this? Because I go on holiday in a couple of weeks. Okay. So, but yes, hopefully I'll be able to do the next one, and then I will see you after my holiday. At Turkey. We're going to Turkey. We did want to go back to Egypt because I haven't been since I was 12 was the last time I've been there. But my son didn't want to have the vaccinations. He was terrified to have the vaccinations, so that was it. It was like I ain't going. Trying to tell a preteen, like, you need to have vaccinations to go. I'm scared of needles, I don't want to go. Yeah, it was, we just decided for Turkey, and it was cheap as well. So, but yeah, we're going to Turkey just for a week. So that'll be fun. Hopefully I can blend in my sunglasses, tan lines, so I don't look like a panda. That'll be good. And hopefully I can get rid of this horrible chesty cough as well before I go. That's the aim. But whoever's watching it back, thank you for watching it back. And thank you to everybody who's joined us this evening. We do appreciate it. I hope you've learned something new today. And if you haven't, thank you for watching anyway. But have a fabulous, what day are we on? Wednesday? Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. And I will see you all in a couple of weeks. And Lou and Ben will see you in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So thanks all. Bye.